negative infinity, so we're going to the left now, of the square root of x squared plus 9 minus 2x. The problem with this is that we can't turn this into a rational because it doesn't have a denominator. So I'm going to give this a denominator by multiplying the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the numerator. Okay, now let's go get the conjugate. Square root of x squared plus 9 all minus 2. The conjugate of this would be the square root of x squared plus 9 plus 2x. And whenever I multiply the numerator by, I also need to multiply the denominator by as well. So x squared plus 9 plus 2x. And I'll give this a denominator of 1. Okay. Now, since I'm multiplying conjugates, I'm going to get the difference of two squares. Again, when I multiply a plus b times a minus b, which are conjugates, I'm going to get a squared minus b squared as a result, which is called the difference of two squares. So, in the numerator, let's find the difference of the two squares. When I square these two, I'll get x squared plus 9, okay, that's the a squared, minus the b squared. The b squared will be the 4x squared. In the denominator, I'm simply going to get the root of x squared plus 9 plus the 2x. Okay, now let's simplify the numerator a little bit, and then we'll see if we can start rationalizing things. Okay, there we go. Everything's simplified now. Now, the highest power in the denominator would be a 1. So I need to multiply this by the reciprocal of x to the first power, which will be 1 over x to the first power. So let's get one of those. Now, note, since x is traveling backwards to negative infinity, 1 over x is actually a negative answer, because on the left side, as you go back to negative infinity, we're dealing with negative numbers. Yeah, they do go to 0, but there's still negative numbers that go to 0, so we have to keep up with the idea that we're using negative numbers right now. So I'm going to actually put a negative there just to remind us that we have negative numbers. Now I'm going to distribute that on 1 over x. Okay, now we're running into a problem. This root here cannot absorb a 1 over x until we square it and put a root over it. So what has happened now is that we have multiplied a negative number by a positive and a negative number, which now makes this number right here negative and this number positive. Again, a negative number times a negative number and a positive number makes you positive and negative. Furthermore, this negative number times this positive number will make this negative as well. So let's change that to negative. The 1 over x was a negative number back from there. But when we squared it, then take the square root of it, but at least when we squared it, it turned it from a negative number to a positive number, and then we put a root over it. So this right here is essentially a positive number. Okay, just keep it up with all the signs. Okay, let's go ahead and slip him inside and see what we have. We have a negative 9 over x plus a 3x. Inside here we have a root that has a 1 plus 9 over x squared and a negative 2. Alright, we're going to start taking limits of all of these. Let's see what we get. Okay, a limit of this function right here with the x on the bottom as x goes to 0, sorry, x goes to infinity will be 0. Plus 3 times x as it goes to negative infinity will be negative infinity. One as it goes to infinity will be still 1 as x goes to infinity. And 9 over x squared as x goes to infinity will be 0. And the constant negative 2 stays negative 2. So what we have essentially here is a 1 minus 2, which is a negative 1, and a 3 times negative infinity, which is still negative infinity. So negative infinity divided by negative 1 will be positive infinity.